Good afternoon. My name is Katherine Gomez, and I am going to present my final intervention program plan for Angelis Garcia. Angelis Garcia is an 11-year-old girl. She is Hispanic and she's in the sixth grade at a charter school in Upper Manhattan. This charter school services students in Upper Manhattan, Inwood, and the northern Bronx region. The school is comprised of about 89% Hispanic students, many of them whom are Ls. When I first met Angelis, she was in the gym and she was playing basketball, which she shared that she really enjoys doing. Some of the other things that she likes doing is helping others, and she thinks of herself as a really good communicator. Although she says that she doesn't really like reading and writing, she says that speaking is one of the best things that she knows how to do. And she likes to help others get rid of their drama because she says that sixth grade is way too dramatic. Most of her time is spent with her grandmother after school, whom, according to Angelis, only speaks Spanish. So she does have to communicate with her grandmother in Spanish only. Now, Angelis has the benefit of being in an ICT setting, which is a great benefit for all students because since the ICT setting has two teachers, one of which is a special education teacher, and then 26 students, that means that it has a smaller teacher to student ratio. All students are able to benefit from the individualized attention and also from having more opportunities to participate and engage in meaningful work. In that specific ICT setting, the teachers have parallel teaching, so they normally begin by breaking up the students into small groups and focusing on their individual needs. Um, for students that do have disabilities, ICT setting can help them improve their testing scores, also have better social communication skills, since they do have that interaction with their general education peers during the class at all times, which is less restrictive than, let's say, for instance, a 12 to 1 to 1 classroom. Students that do not have a disability are able to gain a good experience by having that in classroom experience with students that do have a learning disability or students who have individual differences. It also helps students without disabilities have a better self esteem because they're overall well rounded individuals. For students without disabilities who are struggling, like Angelis, it's a great benefit because they're able to participate in those smaller groups, um, even though they don't qualify for IEP services. Now, one of the strategies that we're going to use in her plan is the Freyer model. Now, in order to teach the Freyer model, there are 5 basic steps, and the Freyer model is basically an organization chart where new vocabulary words and concepts can be introduced to students so that they're able to draw connections to the meaning and also to the concept of the word. So the first thing is that a Freyer model chart, which I'll present to you next, will be passed out or presented, projected onto the whiteboard. And we're going to use a common word in order to demonstrate the various components of the model. Now, this word, it's good to start with something that they're familiar with so that they're able to understand the purpose of each part of the organizer. Now, the second step is that students will be able to select or to write the meaning of the word. And then they're able to have examples of it and also non examples. Now, through these examples, they'll be able to draw connections between the words and concepts and other words and concepts. So, for example, on the upper left hand side, you have the definition of the word, and the word goes in the center of the Freire model. Then you have facts and characteristics of the word, and at the very bottom, you'd have on the left example of that word and then non examples. So, for example, I I have this on perimeter. I teach math, so this is great because the Freire model can actually be carried into other content areas, not just ELA and literacy. So students will be able to carry that skills with them, and also apply it to other vocabulary words in other content areas. So perimeter is at the very center of our Freire model, and then we have the definition, which is the perimeter of a shape is the distance around the edge of of an object. And we also have other definitions. So, for example, the perimeter of a circle can be called the circumference. Some facts and characteristics. which you can have pictures, drawings, but it says add only the numbers on the outside of the shape. All the lines outside are added together. So right away, the student is able to draw connections. So when they see a shape or when they see a rectangle or a triangle, they'll know to add all of the sides in order to find the perimeter. Then you have a very tangible example, especially if it's in math, something that they're definitely going to see again, so that they can use this as a real resource. And then a non-example, what is a common misconception that a student might make if they see the word perimeter? So that's something that you can possibly plot there. The idea is that eventually, as students become more familiar with the Freire model, they're able to make this on their own so that they can have their own database of words that they're coming into contact often, and they become more familiar with them. Now, we also want to give Angelis explicit instructions in the kind of text, so that she just kind of understands the kind of structures that they have and also the reasons why authors may write. Something that Angelis struggles with is deriving meaning from her reading. So she's able to get through a text very forcibly and with a lot of struggle, but she doesn't really go back and focus on the entire sentence to try to see what the author is saying. So it's important for her to have explicit instruction in each of these four text types, which is the narrative. She can be very familiar, become familiar with the fact that there's usually a character, setting, problem, and a resolution in a narrative, and that the point of a narrative is usually to entertain. Then you have expository texts, which are nonfiction, facts, and the different type of features. They have headings, they have captions, and things like that, so that she's able to interact with a book or with any text wholly and be able to use all of the components and elements in a book. As well as she will need explicit instruction in the five text structures. And it's just the text structures are organizational patterns that are found within the text types. She can make use of these graphic organizers, or the teacher can make use of the graphic organizers with Angelis and her small group in order to carry her in making connections between the sequence or a specific order of events and what kind of consequences those order of events have. What does it mean for the characters? How the characters grow throughout a timeline, and those sort of things. Eventually, this is something that we want her to be able to do on her own, but before she's able to get there, she is going to need explicit instruction and understanding that text is written in this way. Lastly, there's a lot of technology that we want to make available to her, especially because we want Angelis to read for the joy of reading. So some of the things that she will have available to her is access to free online books, access to an online dictionary, and then also to use the text to speech um, feature of Chrome. So for example, I'm going to open up this here, and this is the dictionary here that most students have pop up on their Chromebooks, since all classrooms do have their own set of Chromebooks, so all students have access to their Chromebooks at any time. So let's say she doesn't understand a word, or she's working on a Freire model, she's able to go to dictionary.com and find examples and definitions here. But let's say, for example, she's reading an online text. So this is a sixth grade poem. Now, this has a lot of words that I can tell right away that are going to be too difficult for her. So what she can do is that she can come over here and highlight. Let's say we'll highlight this here. And then she can go to where it says edit, speech, and then start speaking.
Tamara has never listened to hip-hop, never danced to the rhythm of raindrops, or fallen asleep to a chorus
And
of chirping
voila.
crickets. She has
This
been deaf for
feature
as long as I have been alive, and ever
will
since the day that I
allow
turned 5.
her to read any text that might be difficult or any texts that are too challenging for her and that she would normally shy away from. What I like about this is that she doesn't have to fear not reading certain poems or certain texts because the words look too difficult, because she can listen to the story over and over again as many times as she needs to and find the definition for the words that are not common to her. Another really great website is Rewardify. So I'll show you an example of this one. Now, with Rewardify, this um, website, what it does is that you can take, let's say we take that same text and it's just too difficult, she doesn't understand what it is, and she can just copy and paste the text, and then Rewardify will basically, takes a little while, but will um Rewardify will go ahead and make the text easier to understand. Sorry, let me just, okay, here we go. All right. So if there's a word or something that she doesn't quite understand, it will give her the definition right there. If nothing was reworded, it means that there weren't any difficult phrases or text. Um, but she can definitely use this with other things as well. Even like a website, let's say she's looking, researching information, and she doesn't quite understand the information that she's found, she's able to copy and paste the definitions here. So let's say here it rewordify here where it says anticipating the second. So instead of anticipating, it used expecting or looking ahead to. All right. So part of the success of this plan is an ongoing assessment, basically ongoing running records to make sure that the reading behaviors are there, that she's able to recognize words, that her vocabulary is building, but also that she is able to self monitor, right? So, like, does she repeat what she read to confirm what she's reading so far? If she encounters a difficult or unknown word, will she understand or look for the definition of that word and then go back to the beginning of the sentence and reread it in order to draw meaning from the word? So, there's a lot of things that we have to equip her with, especially those self monitoring strategies, because we want her to be accountable for the text that she is reading. And that is all. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.